The seaside hamlet of Simonstown is renowned for its panoramic vistas and status as South Africa's largest naval base. But its past is also entwined with colonialism and apartheid. Hidden beneath its scenic seafront is a shameful history of forced removals that remains an open wound.
It wasn't a matter of religion, it wasn't a matter of you being white or you being black, but at the end of the day, we were told that we were not white enough.
Each year, the Simonites, as they are called, reunite to pray for restitution and return. Their symbol is the Wachabiki thorn tree, but they have waited too long. Their prayers are becoming muted as the last remaining members of the Simonites pass on. It was 2 years since the Simonites and their children converged on Simonstown Jubilee Square due to the COVID lockdown. The theme for the 2022 Heritage Day commemorations was Wachabiki, an indigenous thorn tree rich in symbolism. In 2021, the Simonstown Museum, together with the museum's Phoenix Committee and local artists, collaborated to produce 6 memorial benches using the Wachabiki as a recurring image.
Ons noem hulle Wachabiki. En dis mos die doringboom wat 'n doring het. Jy kan nie vorentoe gaan voordat jy nie 'n stukkie agteruit gaan. En ons moet in Suid-Afrika 'n stukkie agteruit gaan om te sien wat gebeur het. En toe noem ons hierdie bankies, daar 6 van hulle, Wachabiki, en elke bankie weerspieël een straat van waaruit mense verwyder is, met geweld verwyder is onder apartheid.
On the 1st of September 1967, Simonstown was declared a whites-only area under the infamous Group Areas Act. Communities of colour were shunted to the dunes of Slankop, now called Ocean View, a suburb still racked by poverty, gangsterism, and the lingering trauma of dispossession. The forced removals had begun in 1965 with the expulsion of working communities from the Eastern Cape living in the Simonstown settlement of Luyolo. By 1975, all communities of colour had been exiled.
The communities that they once belonged to were destroyed, leaving the members scattered across a variety of areas with little opportunity to reconnect.
Die bankies is eers 2 jaar oud. En voorheen was daar amper niks in Simonstown wat daardie gewelddadige aksie van daardie jare mense aan laat herinner het.
Here we lived, this was our livelihood, this was our family, this was our place. If it didn't fit on the lorry, it just stayed behind. Even people's pets, we had to leave that behind. Our houses in Simonstown were either destroyed or sold to wealthy buyers. Nobody but the Simonite can explain the hardship and pain we went through.
En so ons probeer nou dat daai mense 'n stukkie terugkry, 'n stukkie herinnering terugkry wat hulle kan omhels en om te sê dis 'n gedeelte van ons.
The names are still fresh in the memories of thousands who lived there for generations. But while there has been extensive media coverage of the forced removals of District 6 to the desolate dunes of the Cape Flats, the Simonites have received less publicity. In some ways, they are the forgotten District 6. But the remaining Simonites are determined to reclaim their heritage, to remind us of the lingering trauma of the past and their determination to return in the future.
It says, don't walk on as if history does not matter. Don't walk on as if our pain does not matter. Don't walk on as if our hopes do not matter. Don't walk on as if our lives do not matter. Do not walk on as if our place in this country, in its history, in its present and in its future does not matter. Don't walk on. The trauma of those days is still with us. And don't you forget. Wait a minute, think about it, and we will force you to think not about an event only, but about us.
The Simonstown Museum serves as the archive for much of the history of the Simonites before their forced removals. A 10,000-strong community lived here, grew up here, got married, had children, grandchildren, jobs. The mementos of their heritage are displayed in faded photographs, on walls, in glass cabinets, diligently preserved by the museum's Phoenix Committee. Including the cruel lists of the thousands who were earmarked for exile.
Every year we do have Heritage Day, where we commemorate our forced removals. And at this moment, we are trying to see what we can do so that our people can come back to Simonstown.
Joan Orgill joined the Phoenix Committee at its inception in 1996 and became its secretary. A widely respected teacher, sportswoman, and community activist, she was born and raised in Simonstown. For her, like thousands of others, the streets where she lived remained a bittersweet reminder of a heritage that had been stolen.
At first we lived in the Waterfall Flats, then we moved up to Cardiff Road, and I lived in Simonstown for 25 years before we were forcibly removed to Ocean View. There was nothing. I taught in Slankop for 8 years before Ocean View was built. It was just bush around. All there was 2 houses. But before that, we lived as one big family. We lived in a house that was many years old, and they just threw it down and built something else there. My father bought the house, and we had the biggest orange tree in Simonstown.
She lived here with her parents, 3 brothers and 2 sisters. After her marriage to Michael Gabby in 1970, they continued living here until they were forced out.
We had all the fruit you could name, limes, lemons, everything. And on a Saturday, we would all pick the limes and sit outside. And then we also had the fishing. Our people never went hungry, because if there was nothing to eat, there was the fish you had. We had the beach. We would swim all day. We had the mountains. There was no transport money, and whatever we did, our parents knew that we were safe. And now you put us in a place like Ocean View, where we didn't even know the neighbors next door to us. And that is what broke up families, not mine alone, but broke up most of the families in Ocean View. They were all scattered.
Margaret Constant is also a member of the Phoenix Committee, who works full-time at the Simonstown Museum. She too has a personal history of displacement. She was about 9 years old when her family were forced to leave their Pinehaven municipal cottage in the mountainous farm village of Redhill.
This is where we got forced removed from. which is this house here.
It actually makes you feel sad because you actually try and think of what would have happened if you were still staying here instead of being forced to move to Ocean View.
Today, Pinehaven is an affluent suburb. The only remnants of Red Hill are ruins.
In Red Hill, there was a lot of farming done. And every Saturday, they would come down to the Jubilee Square and they would sell their products there. And everything was fresh.
The ruins are all here, and what's stopping the city to let the people come back? Because all they need is just the layout of roads and layout of water pipes being laid, but I mean, people can still live here.
With the dawn of the new dispensation in 1994, hundreds of land claims were lodged by the Simonites. Some returned and others settled for financial compensation. In Dido Valley, a low-cost housing development is currently under construction and homes have been allocated to Navy personnel, informal settlement dwellers and 200 residents from Luyolo. They were part of hundreds of workers brought to Simonstown from the Eastern Cape to build the railroad, who were then forcefully removed to Guguletu, 50 kilometers away. But thousands of Simonites still feel in exile.
We couldn't come back to Simonstown because my one brother and my sister opted for the money, so we had to split the money amongst the 5 of us. So when I go up to Cardiff Road, I always think to myself, why did you do this? This was part of heritage. The house we lived in was demolished. I don't see any of the fruit trees left. Everything was just taken out. And it seems so different to when we lived here. Our parents were humble. They couldn't fight against the government because what ammunition did they have? They were humble, they just accepted that look, we had to go.
Joan Orgill was born in Simonstown on the 3rd of November 1944 to Jasper and Edith Wessels. She died on the 3rd of November 2022, her 78th birthday, with the dream of returning to her birthplace still unfulfilled. But at her funeral, it was clear that Auntie Joan, as she was so affectionately called, has left an extraordinary and enduring legacy, not only in Simonstown, but in Ocean View and beyond.
She rededicated her life to community work. And through this community work, she got a lot of people access to land rights and also supported people in the upliftment in the community itself.
Over the years, despite its painful past and current socio-economic woes, Ocean View has evolved into a tight-knit community, and Auntie Joan was at the forefront of community development.
She is one of the first pioneers as an educator here in this community, because that is where she started, even before we all came here to Ocean View. There's no doubt in my mind that I've never seen somebody as dedicated to a profession, because that's what teaching is all about, to a profession as a teacher. And she was proud of that, whatever she did. That is what she was. And that was also what inspired us.
She taught for over 50 years, for 34 years in Ocean View and 16 years in Simonstown.
Generations of learners are her legacy. She left her footprints alongside each one on their journey, and her devotion to them and the gratefulness they have for her teaching lives on.
Joan Orgill, the perfectionist. That is how I've always seen her. And this is how she taught the children here at Ocean View. She never gave up on any of those children, and she loved each and every one of them.
She and her husband Michael raised 3 children in Ocean View: Michelle, Mario and Mitch. Michael died in 1992 and did not witness their children and 4 grandchildren grow up and flourish.
Megan, Morgan, Gabby, Tania, Mitch, Michelle, Mario. She loved you. She could not stop talking about you.
I've been living here for about 20.
Mario has been living in London for 21 years. He is a mathematics teacher and runs the faculty.
She lived with me for 2 years in London. She taught in London. And she even made, an impact in London.
Everyone spoke about Mommy.
Yes.
And saying, she was the highlight of the tour.
Michelle is a single parent with 4 children. She has worked for the Navy for 31 years and has lived with her mother in Ocean View.
We had our ups and downs, but Ocean View on its own, it's not a bad place to grow up like we grew up, right?
Mm-hmm. Whenever there was a meeting, a community meeting or a church meeting, it would be, Joan, can you say this? Can you voice this? So she was always the spokesperson. But strangely enough, she spoiled us, her kids.
But you knew when she spoke, you listened.
We were poor, but we were happy. And I always tell people that you can still be happy even when life is challenging.
On the 1st of September, 1967.
But Auntie Joan's heart ultimately remained in Simonstown.
Die fourth removal het Auntie Joan geruk. She stood up for her heritage.
People Michelle's age would be the last people who could call themselves Simonites from Ocean View, because they were the last ones born there, 1969/1970. Sometime in the future, there'll be very few people left who can say they are Simonites who are living in Ocean View. I knew, she was getting older, but I didn't expect her to pass so soon.
Leading up to the 3rd of November, her birthday, the day she died, Mommy never wanted to acknowledge she was that sick. There was always that thought that, she's going to get better till the night. And I saw, no, something's not right here.
She was so sick, I did not know. And that same afternoon, she reminded me of doing a child protection talk here on Sunday, that was past Sunday morning, on child protection, and to bring it across to the congregation, want ons kinders word regtig mishandel. Ek sê, juffrou, moenie worry, moenie stres nie. Word gesond.
Auntie Joan's brother, John Vessels, shot these videos and edited them to their favourite songs. Joan's daughter, Michelle, showed them to me in Ocean View at her godparents' home.
And like I said, Sundays we would go up to my grandmother and we would watch the videos. That's my mom there, that's her sister, daughters. That's my grandmother over there. And yeah, yes, my mom. And that's the cousin, that's my uncle, he's the one that did the videos. Oh, that's me. My cousin. Family mattered. It didn't matter what the circumstances, but we were together, and now we miss that anchor, and I'm trying to do my best to keep us the way my mom would have wanted us to be. And it's a bit difficult because she had a way, she just had a way with us. Mom was there for us, and it was just hard to lose her, It really was just hard to lose her, but I wouldn't have wanted Mommy to suffer.
She never stopped hoping for a better life for her children.
Maybe give them some place to come and piece of land in Simonstown. Build a house which they could be able to afford. Some place
She was always concerned about, my girls and me. That was my mother. And she was proud of my girls, She did the best she could, and that was to give them everything.
Perhaps I'm better off not knowing Simonstown, because I've never lived in Simonstown compared to those who have, because the loss for them was so much bigger.
No money can compensate for what I went through when I had to leave Simonstown. And so many memories are left behind here. It does give us little hope that one day, if not me, my children will be able to return to Simonstown.